5 minutes, medyo matino-tino yung discussion. So I like the format. It gives chance to the candidates to kind of raise that issue among others. Now, yung issue ng West Philippine Sea, dito medyo, I'll be honest, I'm disappointed on two levels. First of all, hindi ko masyado nagustuhan yung framing ng question ni Tito Boy na parang biglang gyera ang pinag-usapan. Because, I mean, the whole point of strategy, you don't have to read Sun Tzu and something Art of War ko. No, to know that it's never about war per se. It's about psychological games. It's about preventing war by playing your cards well, by leveraging your cards. At dito, going to Bongbong Marcos, medyo disappointed ako na hindi minention at all na, by the way, meron tayong mutual defense treaty with the U.S. Yes, it's not 100% perfect. Yes, pwede pa improve yan. Yes, may mga issue dyan in some of the provisions. But that's exactly what we have been doing over the past 6, 7, 8 years. Improving the prospects of making sure yung MDT na yan ay talaga useful sa atin. And the Americans under Pompeo and Trump and now recently under Blinken and Biden have emphasized na talagang kung tinamaan yung ating mga barko, mga aircrafts, mga personnel, mga sundalo natin dyan sa West Philippine Sea, pwede mag-apply talaga yung MDT. No? In fact, sinabi ni former U.S. Ambassador to Philippines who's now in Indonesia, Sung Kim, na even yung mga gray zone, yung mga militia attack sa ating mga barko, mga ganun, pwede ma-activate niya ng MDT. At anyone who's familiar, just a basic familiarity with what's happening in the US, meron ng bipartisan consensus against China. And if you look at it, tignan mo gaano ka concerned ang US sa Ukraine and gaano ka concerned ang US even more sa Taiwan. And guess what? None of these countries have a mutual defense treaty with the US at all. And yet, look at the level of pressure on Biden to be helpful to these countries. No? Now, imagine, ang pinag-usapan dito ang Pilipinas, which has a mutual defense treaty. At kung ang US ay inabandon lang tayo pag kunyari may attack ng China, which never is gonna happen, is really tama naman yung sinabi ni BBM, even China doesn't want war. So at least may improvement from Tatay Digong na parang pag nagsalita tayo magkakaroon ng war. At least in fairness kay Bongbong Marcos na emphasize na yan. But going back to this issue, if Taiwan na ngayon Ukraine, ganun ka concern ng US, alangan i-abandon lang tayo ng US, di ano maging reaction ng ibang allies? Ay, yung pala in-abandon mong Pilipinas, ay wag tayo dito sa Amerika, doon na tayo sa China. So, it's not about Philippines alone. It's about the domino effect it could have. Talagang masisira ang Amerika in terms of yung networks of alliances. So anyways, this is a very complicated issue. We can go into that. You can read my books, etc. I've discussed these things in detail. Sana minention. Kasi parang ayoko yung parang anong klaseng analysis na, U.S. China paras lang sila. Hindi naman totoo yan. Yung isa, treaty ally natin. Yung isa, sinasakop yung mga natin, di ba? I mean, my goodness, don't this false equivalence argument is very, very problematic to me. And then second, hindi rin minention ni Bongbong Marcos yung Code of Conduct negotiations at saka yung ASEAN mechanisms. So I think there was, yes, tama naman si Bongbong Marcos na you need to engage China bilaterally. But why should we just be confined to that? Tama naman yung sinabi ni Tito Boy na hindi ka naman siseryosoin kung ganyan lang, di ba? Hindi naman tayo sinisir, hindi naman, ang dami natin diplomatic protest. Because yun nga diplomacy works insofar as you have a leverage. And what is the leverage? Using our alliance with the U.S., strengthening our own defensive capabilities, using international instruments, including arbitration. Tapos, I really hope yung team ni BBM, I mean, they a little bit familiarize themselves with the nuances of the arbitration award. This was not an ICJ case. This was a compulsory arbitration case under Article 287, Annex 7 of UNCLOS regarding maritime entitlement claims. It was not about sovereignty-related disputes per se, but indirectly, because na-nullifying na yung 9-dash line ng China, may implication ito dun sa claims natin at sovereign rights issue natin dyan sa West Philippine Sea. So, yung nuances na yan, mahalaga yan. Kasi kung ikaw ang presidente, dapat alam mo yung mga nitty-gritties na yan dahil ito ay nagre-reflect ito sa dun sa kakayahan mo na mag-implement ng effective policy. Now, let me tell you this. Why am I a little bit worked up with this? Is because I'm finalizing a chapter I'm writing on Singapore's foreign policy for a book I'm writing on China. Nalalabas, God willing, later this year by Melbourne University Press, among others. So, kanina, tinatapos ko yung chapter on Singapore. At, I was writing about, talagang inanalyze ko yung ginawa nila Rajaratnam, yung kanilang foreign minister, ni Lee Kuan Yew, ngayon si Lee Hsien Loong. Ang talino talaga ng mga Singaporeans, patriotic talaga, and they leverage. Hindi nga sila ally ng US, but they have been giving Americans access, military access. At the same time, they're buying the best armaments from from U.S. They have been leveraging the ASEAN, international instruments. At the same time, they have huge trade with China. So, kung titingnan mo yung mga kapitbahay natin, I have another chapter naman on Malaysia, Mahathir, etc. And Tun Mahathir, I hope you'll recover soon, sir. The reason why I know how these interviews are is because I had almost a 1-hour interview with Prime Minister Mahathir when he visited the Philippines a few years ago. So itong mga long-form interviews, talaga you have to properly frame the question, give the chance for the person to answer. At hindi ito yung, you're not there to embarrass the guy or to look smart or to have a scoop or etc. That's not proper journalism. You're there to have a proper conversation. Kaya nagustuhan ko ng itong format na to in general. But yun nga, dun sa issue ng West Philippines, I'll be honest, medyo alanganin ako dun sa mga sagot and all. It's not very assuring. And for me, it does not capture the complexity of the situation. And sana, mamaya, basahin niyo yung siniwalat ko Poison Shrimp article South China Morning Post on Singapore. Basahin niyo yan, yung siniwalat ko yan, para makita niyo yung pinagsasabi ko. Para naman may matutunan tayo sa mga kapitbahay natin. Meron din ako on Vietnam, meron din ako sa Malaysia, so you'll see, and Indonesia. So please just go to South China Morning Post, Richard Haydar, makikita niyo yung columns niyo, makikita niyo yung mga details because you have no time to go into them now. Kasi andito lang naman tayo mag-comment sa Fast Talk, di ba? Fast Talk naman talaga tayo, di ba? So yun, so medyo disappointed ako doon. Then of course, doon sa issue ng ICC, I was not surprised doon sa sagot ni BBM. So clearly, sinisignal ni BBM that wag kang mag-alala, Tatay Digong. I'm not gonna allow them to, whatever you, di ba? Parang, ano sabi niya, hayaan lang natin sila magturista or something like that. So, interesting din, let me mention another issue. I'm gonna try to wrap up soon. Interesting, minention din ni Bongbong Marcos yung two-party system, which if you go to the Jessica